So here's what we got on the agenda today, guys. We're going to talk about, first of all, the differences between a good lead and a bad lead, because there really is some significant differences in the way that we go about generating leads that's going to dictate the quality that you get at the end of the day. We're going to talk about the one primary difference in originating good leads. We're going to talk about why most loan officers are struggling to pull applications from those leads, even when they do get good leads. A good lead does not necessarily translate into an app, right? So what can we do to change that scenario so that you're not struggling to get applications? And then I'm going to show you guys the ideal funnel. So this is a conversion funnel that will take your leads from just a lead to a full-blown application, somebody in process with you. Okay, so if that all sounds good, then let's rock and roll here. All right. Okay, let's go. So what is the definition of a good lead? You guys really have to frame this right out of the gate, because if you're going to be implementing a proper funnel, you got to know what is the ideal end result. And a lot of people just say, well, I just want more loans, but that is just far too vague. Really, we need to know, or in this case, you need to know, is there a certain price range that you're targeting? Is there a certain demographic? Some of you guys perform better with certain age groups. Some of you guys perform better with specific niches. Okay, so maybe general purchase versus VA, FHA, first-time home buyers. In your opinion, a good lead, how much information have they given you up front? I've seen people call leads, because I actually saw this webinar advertised the other day that said the average loan officer that he was working with was getting over 5,000 leads a month. And I said, oh my gosh, I gotta click play on this thing just to see what the heck they're calling a lead. And it was literally just individuals. It was just basically pulling raw data, just name and phone number of people that could potentially qualify for a loan, and they were calling that a lead. Sorry, but I don't consider that a lead, right? And I'm sure most of you guys wouldn't either. I mean, maybe if you really want to get loose with it, you could call it an ice cold lead. But at that point, it's just data. So when we're talking about leads, I'm showing you guys funnels here today. The way I define a lead, and you're welcome to agree or disagree with me here, because we all have our own perspectives. But first of all, the person must have taken action. So I'm not going to call raw data a lead. It's got to be somebody that's looked at something of mine, an ad, and they've clicked on it. They've gone to my landing page, and they've given me information. So they've provided specific and accurate data. If somebody's giving me a whole bunch of fake information, I don't count that as a lead, right? So it's fake emails, fake phone numbers, all that crap. They don't go into my lead pile. The person has completed multiple steps. So I don't like to make things too easy in my funnels. I like to make them prove their worth, prove their interest, and they do this by completing more than one step. So I do 2 and even 3-step lead capture processes. We'll talk more about that later. The person wants to be contacted and has provided the means to do so. So they need to have actually know, so it's not going to be a surprise to them when they get a phone call from me, right? And I'm sure all of you guys, let me know in the chat box if you've run into those, right? If you've ever bought leads and you call the lead and they're like, well, why are you calling me? What's this about? You know, they have no freaking clue why you're talking to them. I don't consider those leads. These have to be people who have requested that I contact them. So it can't just be, oh, surprise, here I am, right? So you guys agree with that? Disagree? Thoughts? Is there everybody pretty much in agreement here with what a good lead is? That this is at least a workable definition, even if yours might be a little bit different. Okay, all right, good. So you're getting lots of goods. All right, perfect. So when I also talk about leads, this is just an example of the type of volume that is available. And I'm showing you guys this so that you know that this isn't something where you get, maybe 1 or 2 leads a week, or you're waiting around 10, 15 days in between your leads flowing in. Also, when I consider a good lead funnel, it has to be able to provide volume as well. Now, let's be clear on this. Not everybody can handle this level of volume. This was for a team of loan officers, not just an individual loan officer. And everybody has their own, again, perspective and definition as to how many leads you can actually realistically handle. This was for more than one loan officer. But it shows you the flow of leads coming in. Now, just so you know, that wasn't just a fluke. I even bumped it all the way down to November. So November all the way through February, and we're still looking at even just a couple days after Christmas, we still got the volume coming in. Each one of these pages, there's 25 leads on my inbox here for each one of these, just so you know. So that's a lot of leads. So in some cases, if the need is there, if some of you guys on this call are individual loan officers, some of you are small teams, some of you are sales managers or the owners of a company, and you have dozens of loan officers to feed. In those cases, yes, 25, 30, 50 leads a day is possible if you have A, the budget, and B, the time to follow up properly, to put them through a funnel. Otherwise, you're just pouring money down the drain, right? What good does it do to generate the leads if we don't have a proper follow-up protocol? And now this is a visual look at what I consider a lead. These are the types of questions I like to ask. So I need to know what type of home are they looking at buying? If they're a first-time buyer or not. In this case, this person is. Will this be a primary residence? What's your price range? How much do you want to spend? What's your credit look like? What's your current home buying process? In other words, is there a time frame? How long do you plan to own this property? Income, desired rate type, estimated down payment. Are you currently working with a real estate agent? And I ask that question because I want to plant the seed. If the answer is no, I want to be able to refer them to a realtor so that I'm leveraging my leads to share with realtors as well. Have you or your spouse served in the military? Have you had filed a bankruptcy or foreclosure in the last 7 years? Name, phone number, email. Boom, 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 boom. That's a lot of information. And I see a lot of individuals capturing leads or trying to capture good quality leads, but you'll see a lot of individuals training you and telling you, oh, well, all you really need to do is ask their name and email, because if you ask too much more than that, it's going to scare them away. But my philosophy on that has been for a while now that if somebody's unwilling to give you more information than a name and an email address, how good of a lead was that to begin with? You know what I mean? I mean, sure, we can make the argument that at some point, we can warm them up and whatnot. But 9 times out of 10, that's the sign of a lead that really isn't going to go anywhere for you. And when we're limited on time and we want to be spending our time with quality, we got to make them prove that quality, right? So make them jump through a few hoops. So the folks that answer all of these questions are the people you want to spend your time with. But I don't stop there. Even after they've answered all these questions, I make them jump through even more hoops. We'll talk about that later. I'll show you what I'm talking about there. But for now, let's talk about the 3 factors that are going to supersede all the other factors when it comes to whether or not you're going to generate quality leads or not. And that is A, how you get the lead to begin with. So for those of you that answered that you are getting leads currently, but you just have some issues with the quality, where are your leads coming from? What are you tapping into to get your leads now? Because here's the thing, is the type of platform that your leads come from is going to dictate what their mindset is at the time they see your advertisement. And let's play a little bit of make-believe here. Okay, so we're going to the land of make-believe here. So imagine you're a prospect, or even just when was the last time you guys bought something online? Clicked on something that kind of interrupted you while you were doing something online. You clicked on it and you actually either signed up for something or bought something. So now I want you to get into that mindset again. What was the last item that you saw online that you weren't already planning on shopping for, that you saw it, it got your attention, you clicked on it, and you ended up taking some sort of action? Get into that mindset again. Where were you? So now imagine you're on Facebook, for example. Why are people on Facebook? It's a social network, right? When we're there for fun, typically. I mean, maybe not you and I all the time, because we do business as well. But when you're in consumer mode, when you're at, hey, I'm home and away from work, and I'm just there to relax and have fun, watch videos, see what my friends are up to, keep up with the news, that sort of thing. It's a playground at that point. So for an ad to really resonate with you, it's really got to grab your attention. That's interruption-based marketing. Whereas if I'm on a search engine and I'm actively hunting for something, so if I go and I Google something, or I go to Yahoo or Bing and I'm putting in a specific product that I'm looking to research in order to buy, or at least get more information about it and buy at another date, my mindset is completely different, right? So I want you to think about that. because a lot of folks treat their advertising as one size fits all. But the way that I market to somebody that's actively hunting for my product or service versus somebody that I'm going to interrupt and say, hey, excuse me, please pause that cat video and go click on this and answer these 12 questions for me and then schedule an appointment to talk with me about mortgages. That's a completely different strategy, because we're dealing with completely different mindsets, right? But how many people are out there actually giving you those strategies? How many of you can definitively say, yes, I have a rock solid approach that works in these different scenarios, and here's what it is, right? Most of us don't. So the second item on the list, the second factor that's going to supersede all other issues as to whether or not the leads you capture are quality or not, is what happens immediately after that person fills out your lead form. And when I say immediately, I mean immediately. And I hate to sound like a broken record on, if you even go back to my videos 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago, I'm still saying the same thing. And the reason why I still say it, because even though I know everybody knows that we're supposed to, is because yet I still get the bulk of loan officers taking at least a day or two to follow up with their leads. And I know it's not intentional. I know it's not. I know it's just because a lot of you guys are just way too busy, right? It's not intentional. I know that you would love to follow up with your leads within the first 5 minutes, but it's not realistic for a lot of loan officers. But the problem is that is the problem. It exasperates the problem. It makes it more difficult, because statistically speaking, across the spectrum, across the board, almost no matter what industry you're in, after more than 5 minutes have elapsed, each additional 5 to 10 minutes, your likelihood of connecting with that person drops by several percentage. Just keeps dropping and keeps dropping and keeps dropping. So in other words, we got to find a better solution, because relying on yourself to do that when you're busy, when you're the cook in the kitchen, but you got new customers coming in the back door, you need to have that figurative waiter out there taking care of them and contacting them, speaking to them, finding out their concerns, why they reached out to begin with. Because when we do that, we see lead to application ratios, no joke, guys, in some cases triple. That is not an exaggeration. I'm being about as transparent as possible with you guys here. Triple the conversion rate. So the final factor of these three is how you follow up from there. And what I mean by that is the old way of doing things. And when I say the old way, I'm talking even just a year and a half to 2 years ago. Even in some of my videos, if you go back about 4 or 5 years ago, I was primarily using email and phone to follow up. But in the past 2 to 2.5, 3 years-ish, that had to change. We had to up our game, because now we have to utilize multi-channel. If we're just using phone, email, or even just phone, email, and text, you're operating at a disadvantage. Now, if you're using text on top of phone and email, you're ahead of most of your competition, but you're still not using everything that you could be to get these folks to transfer from lead to actual loan application. So you could probably stand to benefit another 30-40% increase in your success rate with your leads by adding multiple channels of follow-up. And we'll talk about that later as well. I'll get into the details, okay? But here's really what it is. What it all boils down to is the big secret of quality leads, and why most of individuals are not getting the quality, is because the tools that are needed to get to the next level of closings and conversions are different from the tools and skills that are needed to remain where you are. In other words, there was this awesome book I read years ago. The title of the book was "What Got You Here Won't Get You There." And basically, it was just an entire book centered around the philosophy that we don't have success by just putting more and more work into what it is that we're doing. That's how we burn ourselves out. That's how we become so busy that we don't enjoy the money that we're making, right? That's called brute force way to success. And it's almost always across the board a failure over the long term. It can work in successful small spurts of growth, but for huge increases and just getting you to the next level, it's terrible at doing that, because the skills that were needed to get you to where you are now, if you've hit a glass ceiling, that's because that's what those skills or that tool set was designed to do, was to get you there. Now you got to look at what the next level is. It's just like playing in an RPG game. Now, I'm not a gamer, but I back in the 90s, I used to play a lot of games. And how many of you guys have played an RPG game? You know, one of those games where you have to level up, where your character gains skill and they gain health and they gain, you know, energy, and they get all these new tools and upgrades. And you have to get all of these things in order to get to the next level, because if you skip to the next level without making those upgrades, you get demolished. I mean, you just absolutely get demolished. You just can't survive. And I bring that up because it's the perfect scenario for what's happening to most loan officers is we're trying to jump to the next level, but we're not armed with the proper tools yet, or we haven't been taught the proper skill sets. Because the skill sets, it's not, hey, you got to be better. It's you got to be different. Because it's not a matter of whether you're skilled or not. I don't doubt the skill level of most of the loan officers I talk to. You guys are great salespeople in most cases. You guys already have 80 to 90% of what you need set up, but it's that you need a different, evolving set of skills because things have changed. I've gotten calls from loan officers saying, hey, back in, you know, the early 2000s, I was doing 25 plus closings a month. You know, half these guys used to own their own company and have 20, 30 loan officers underneath them. And now they're struggling, saying, I'm struggling to do 4 a month, and I'm a better salesperson now than I was then. What's happening? It's not that they suddenly just suck at what they do, because they don't. They're still great. It's just a different set of skills are needed. So we're in a rapidly changing environment where borrowers have access to more information than ever before. It's easier for them to shop you in about 2 minutes flat. They can read reviews of you and your competitors. They're seeing recommendations for your competitors everywhere. Whether they Google you or they're on Facebook or they're on Yelp, doesn't matter. They demand instantaneous everything and the best possible service. And in many cases, they can accomplish all of that without ever even having to pick up the phone. They can get that whole process started without having to pick up the phone. It's all about instant gratification. So how do we survive in a world like that? So to make things a little more interesting, my next slide is going to be a little unorthodox. I've set things up a little bit different than a normal slide. That's because I was on the topic of using the analogy of a video game. So I want you guys to take a look at this. This is kind of the way I see things. So the animation might be a little off because we're on a webinar here, so it's probably a little choppy, but you get the point. All right. So left my dummy text on there, sorry. So basically what I want you guys to do is look at this. We built this out into steps because basically every step of the way you're running into different obstacles, right? And this is really what it's like marketing and generating leads these days is you start out, and the first thing that you got to do is you got to stand out and capture the interest of your audience. Then you got to earn the click. So if we're running an ad, we got to get them to click, and then we got to get them to convert. So give you their information. Okay. Then step 3, we got to impress them. We got to engage them immediately during that follow-up process within the first couple of minutes. Okay. Because if we miss that, then we might as well just stop generating leads now if we don't got that step of the process set up. Then we got to maintain that interest. So buying a home, as you guys well know, can be a cycle. It's not a quick sale. It's how often do you get people that say, hey, I already have my home picked out. I already have everything ready. I'm ready to talk to the loan officer, take an application, and close in the next couple of weeks. No, that's not how it works, is it? Usually it's, hey, we're still searching for a home. And most of them try to wait until the last minute before they talk to their loan officer. They do it backwards. So because of that, we need to be prepared to maintain their interest. It's one thing to generate their interest. It's another thing to maintain that interest and nurture the lead, right? And only after we've accomplished those first 4 things can we take it to the level of getting the commitment and turning that into an actual closed loan. All right, so all throughout the process, there are challenges waiting for us. Okay, so let's kind of break this down. Obstacle number 1 was, first of all, the audience. We got to stand out. We got to get the click. Okay, so in order to do that, guys, you have to have the proper size and targeted audience, and you must be tapping into a reliable source. And that's why I was asking earlier, what sources are your leads coming from now? Basically what platforms are you tapping into? Because it needs to be a source that you can rely on, that you can step back and say, hey, you know what? I know that I need leads this week, and I know that I'm going to get them, right? Not just a, man, you know what? I'm going to cross my fingers. Here's hoping I actually get something this time. Doesn't work that way, does it? So what platform are you tapping into? I know Facebook's become all the rage, right? Running Facebook ads. But I'm here to tell you the slightly different version of that, and that is, I don't like relying just on Facebook. I like having a couple different platforms, and we'll talk about some of those platforms here soon. Number two, you must appeal. Your offer must appeal to the right people. Now, let me explain this. If your offer is too appealing, you're going to get crap. How many guys agree with me on that one? That if you make your offer too appealing, then everybody jumps on board, and that's when you start getting all these leads that say, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I did have a foreclosure, and oh, yeah, I did have a repossession, and yeah, my score's 498, and yeah, you know what? I want zero down. I work at McDonald's, but I want a $300,000 house. No, we can't try to appeal to everyone. If we try to appeal to everyone, then we're appealing to no one, essentially, because we're making our job more difficult. But at the same time, if we don't make it appealing enough, then your ad blends in, and it's me too. So that's why we have to hit on that right formula and appeal to the right people. If we're appealing to the right people, then you can create that kick butt offer that they're really going to want to click on, as long as you're getting in front of the right people, but you need to be using the right platform. Okay. So obstacle three, is we must engage quickly here, and we must use multiple channels. Phone and email is not enough anymore. So this is follow-up. So once we get the lead, our follow-up needs to be rapid, and we cannot just rely on phone and email anymore, not in today's marketplace. At the bare minimum, you got to throw texting in there. If you're not texting, then you're probably pulling your hair out, wondering why do so few people respond to emails. Even outside of just the mortgage industry, I mean, I maintain a lot of large email lists in a lot of different industries, and just in the past 2 years, I've seen response drop at least 15 to 20%. At 15 to 20% drop. But by that same token, texting has picked up the slack. Now, don't get me wrong, email is still a very, very important, a critical piece of the puzzle, but it has to be married to other automations. Okay. And your biggest challenge at this stage in the game, guys, it's the lack of a process. If we just try to wing it and fly by the seat of our pants, it's not going to be done. It's got to be automated. It just has to. There's too many things. There's too many things thrown on the shoulders of loan officers these days for you guys to realistically wing it anymore. Maybe 10 years ago we could get away with winging it a little bit, but today your job has become so complex that there's no time to wing it anymore. Okay. Obstacle 4, maintaining interest and following up properly. So this is your engaging and nurture part of your funnel. And this is where 90% of loan officers reach game over. Now, you've heard the statistic time and time again that in the study was performed, I believe, in the mid 2000s. Okay, so it's been at least 5 years. I'm sure the number's even larger now than it used to be. But the average consumer has to be followed up with a minimum of 5 to 12 times. 5 to 12 times before they even get to that engagement level. And most loan officers give up after just 2 or 3 attempts. So the odds are statistically against you. When you're only following up a handful of times, the odds are against you that you're going to see any success there, because we're not following up the minimum number of times. Now, in the mortgage industry, I believe that number should be revised to 7 to 12 times, because you really got to get in front of these people, because it's not something, unless they're desperate and they need a letter from a lender, at which point they're hunting you down, or it's somebody that needs desperately need some consolidation or to get out of debt. Most of them aren't in a big rush. And that mindset of, hey, I have plenty of time because I haven't even picked out my home yet, that is combined with the fact that they're getting hammered by other loan officers as well, means, yeah, you really got to stand out. You really got to reach out to them a number of times. Okay. So minimum 7 to 12 times. Okay. So then our final obstacle is 75% of getting the commitment is being in the right place at the right time, behavior-based targeting. In other words, as long as you have the other 4 obstacles taken care of, as long as you have those pieces of the puzzle fitting, then the rest of it just boils down to you remaining top of mind, which is a lot easier to do than the act of fighting that uphill battle to begin with, to first, buy some of their brain cells, so to speak. So as long as you remain in front of them, the bulk of individuals who close a loan, more than 50% of individuals who close a loan, end up closing with the first loan officer that they actually took the time to speak with on the phone. So in other words, our goal should be, hey, I want to get that person at least committed enough to be on the phone with me. Because now at least half of them, through the process of, just call it marketing osmosis, half of them are going to end up going with you. But you got to get them to that point, right? So if you get to this level, then at this point, guys, you have a scalable business model. Now, if you say, because if you try to scale before you hammer out these obstacles, you're going to spin your wheels and you're going to end up engaging in that brute force marketing and sales where you're going to burn yourself out. But if you get to this point and say, okay, I got these small successes and I got it to where I can close, even if you just say, hey, you know what, I can realistically and repeatedly close an extra 2 or 3 loans a month through this process, just by putting it on autopilot, then at that point, if you want to double your business, all you do is double your marketing then. It's automated, so who cares, right? So now we just spend twice the amount on ads. Okay, now instead of getting 2 or 3 closings, I'm getting 4 to 6 extra closings a month. Oh, you want to double that now? Okay, well now you're getting 8 plus closings a month, 12 plus closings a month. You scale it because you're scaling a process, not an idea. Too many people are just burning themselves out trying to scale an idea, the idea of success. But success isn't an idea, it's a process, it's a system. You got to get systematized first. Then we can focus on scaling. But we're doing it backwards. Just like people shop for loans backwards, a lot of people engage in their marketing efforts and try to reach their goals backwards by putting forth a ton of effort first before they have something that is reliable enough to put that effort into. Okay, does that make sense? So we got to do things in the right order. We can't put the cart before the horse. All right. Okay, so I'm done with my crazy video game analogy. I just thought it would be fun to break things up into a slide like that. So all that sounds great, but how do I get there? That's the big question, right? So most of you are already doing 80 to 90% of everything that you should be doing right already. Okay, so that's the good news. That's the good news. Most of you guys already have 80 to 90% of the formula. But what you need on top of that is you got to bolt on the processes, the systems, have the right tools and or skill set to get you where you want to be. So if you're wanting to level up, if you want to go to the next level, then you really got to focus on bolting these processes in place. Okay, so that's what's going to give you the absolute tip top highest chance for success. Okay, so let's talk about how we do that. So step 1 is you got to get in front of the right people, and that is we need to focus on intent. All right, so that means because the right source means more than one group of people, because if we put all our eggs in one basket, if for whatever reason that basket's shut down, you no longer have access to that basket, you're screwed. There goes your whole process that you just spent all this time building. Nobody wants that. So you need more than one source. I'll show you guys the 2 sources that I recommend. You need to target those with intent. No mass appeal to just everybody, but rather, hey, who are the people that need loans? Who are the people that want loans? I want to talk to people. Who are the people that want to talk to me, right? We need to control lead quality by being more specific with our marketing and we have higher expectations of our leads. A lot of us have such low expectations for our leads, so we make it too easy for them. Right? We make it too freaking easy for these people. That means we're coming right out of the gate. We become self-fulfilled prophecies because we already have low expectations. Oh, if I ask them 4 questions, they're probably going to leave. Okay, well, that means you don't have confidence in the source that you're getting in front of. So should you even be running ads to people that you're not even sure of? I mean, certainly at least there's some point in your marketing cycle where you have to run ads to a group of people you're unsure of, because that's how you become sure, as you get the metrics. But if on an ongoing basis, if you keep finding yourself in a scenario where you're uncertain if you're getting in front of the right people, then it's not the right source. There's something wrong with the source. Now, it doesn't mean it's the wrong platform. You know, I see a lot of people running ads on Facebook and they're getting terrible quality leads. It doesn't mean that Facebook doesn't work. It just means that the source, the group of people that we have chosen to put their ads in front of on Facebook, happen to be the wrong groups of people. Either that or there's a messaging problem, right, with our message. But oftentimes it's a combination of the two, to be honest with you. I've had to go through a lot of these. But we need to take a step back and really look at what are my expectations. Okay. That's what we should be focusing on. Okay, let's go to the next one. Give me just a second. There we go. Okay. I'm just shutting off my apologies, guys. My phone was just blowing up there. So I'm shutting it down. There we go. It was just dinging off the hook. All right, so if we get in front of the right people, these are people with intent. We need to have higher expectations for them and say, hey, you know what? I want these people to prove that they're worth my time if I'm going to be talking to them. So I'm going to talk to you guys about 2 platforms, okay? So, and my apologies, we did have a guest speaker that was going to be joining me here today, but last minute, he actually ran into some issues, so I have not been able to get him on the line just yet, but I'll see if I'll keep trying to connect here. But we're going to start off with my platform that I like, and then we're going to talk about his platform as well. Okay, so the platform that I like to use as a beginner, this is the starting point of a new ad campaign, is Facebook, right? So we've already talked about Facebook a million times before. If you go to my YouTube channel, I got probably 30, 40 videos there on Facebook. But here's why I like Facebook. Number one is because it's quick to set up and deployment is rapid. So you can start on a Monday morning, and by Monday afternoon, you got leads coming in, okay? You got huge audiences that you can target. There's multiple ad types that you can tap into. You got good filters for most of those markets. So if I want to get in front of VAs, I can tell Facebook, hey, show my ad to people who are either veterans or current active duty. If I want to get in front of and advertise reverse mortgages, I can target individuals that are, in that age bracket. I can separate and segment. It's excellent post-lead capture resources that we're going to talk about here shortly as well, that are absolutely killer at converting leads from low quality to high quality. And it's a relatively low cost. Again, I use the word relative because there are platforms out there where you can still get clicks for 5 cents, but then there's platforms out there where you can pay 50, 60 bucks for a click. Facebook, a lot of you guys are paying, somewhere around $1 to maybe $1.50, okay, for a click, which is still very, very low cost as long as you're getting quality, So if you're paying $1, $1.50 for crappy leads, okay, that's too much, right? So how many of you guys, just let me know in the chat box, how many of you guys are using Facebook to run ads? And I'm going to check again and see, hey, James, are you there? Mr. James, I'm just checking to see if he's been able to connect. While you guys just let me know in the chat box if you're using Facebook or not. Okay, so I see your it looks like James is here. I'm going to try to unmute your handset here. If just give me a says you're muted currently, James. It says self-muted. Let me know if you're able to get that taken care of. So it looks like he was able to get on, but I don't know if we're having phone connection issues or not. So I'm getting a red bar here under your name for communication. So I'll keep trying that, but All right, so it looks like a lot of you guys have run Facebook ads here. Okay, so yes, 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 I have. Yes, I have. I'm going to soon. Okay, yes, yes. Okay, we just started. Okay, so yeah, it looks like a lot of you guys have run Facebook ads. That's fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. So, and I don't know what your experience has been thus far, but my hope is that you've gotten at least some decent quality and gotten some closings out of it. But even if you haven't yet, that doesn't mean that that cannot change. So now we're going to talk about the next platform that my guest was going to be chatting with. Or actually, no, let me show you one other thing. Then we'll talk about that platform. So let me show you guys something. This should be a revelation for you guys. I hope this is a big aha boom moment for you guys. When I talked about tapping into more than just one tool, that one tool that most people will bolt on to their follow-up to get quality leads is text messaging. If you want to get it to even the next highest level, is I like to bolt on Facebook Messenger. Let me explain. Facebook now allows you, with the person's permission, so if I were to run a landing page and send my traffic from my Facebook ad to a landing page that asks for their permission to connect with their Facebook Messenger. Now, this all happens automatically through technology. All they got to do is click a button and boom, we get approval. Guess what happens? That means I now have permission to treat it like an email autoresponder. I can click a button and put all my follow-up messages, links, videos, pictures and images, downloadable documents, whatever I want can be sent to those individuals just like an email autoresponder. All happens automatically. I can even engage them with a bot and have conversations with them. Even if it's 1 a.m. and I'm away, they can still chat with my bot and get their questions answered and leads captured because my bot will take snapshots of that entire conversation, including their contact information, and let me know to contact them in the morning. Look what it did. Check this out. Look at this. I just took this snapshot from, these are just 3 blasts that I'd set up, just setting up a brand new group of loan officers. Look at this, 160 impressions. Out of 160 impressions, 71 of them opted in. That's a 44.4% conversion rate. 95% of the people that received the messages through Facebook Messenger opened and read it. 316 impressions, 88 opt-ins, 27.8% conversion, 97% open rate. The message was almost identical to what I was sending an email. My email open rate was 22.4%. versus 97%. 22.4 versus 97%. Guys, that's crazy. That's a crazy, that's an exponential jump in open rate. And it costs me nothing to send these outside of the software I use to send it. It cost me $9. Okay. 590 impressions, 127 people opted in from those 590 impressions, 21.5% conversion in a 98% open rate. Now, you see that this is a big drop in my conversion rate. You know why? Does anybody care to take a guess why I don't care that there was a drop in my conversion rate from 44% to 27% down to 21%? Does anybody care to take a wild guess as to what was going on there? Anybody? I'll mail you the world's biggest chocolate chip cookie if you get it right. Any guesses? I know there's got to be somebody with a guess out there. Okay, so if there's my screen, I got so many showing up on my screen, so I don't see if there's any new guesses. Okay, here's what happens. Here's what's happening. Okay, so I see a guess. Okay, you slowed down the campaign. Okay, so good guess, but no, I didn't slow it down. Here's what happened. I raised my expectations. See, in the beginning here, where you see the 44% conversion, this was my first time messaging this group. So I gave them just the smallest call to action of something to click on, just something that almost everybody would click on. And so I got 44% of the people to click on it. Then I thought about it and I was like, wow, with a 95% open rate and with 71 opt-ins, I wonder what would happen if I asked for a much larger commitment. So the next time, so my group had grown, as you can see here, obviously. So I had a much larger group now. This time I got 88 opt-ins, but I was asking for a much bigger commitment. So at this point, I was actually asking for information. I wanted them to register for something. And then here on this one, my group continued to grow. Now I got 590 impressions, 127 opt-ins. This time, I actually asked for scheduled appointments and a complete survey, a survey that had 14 questions in it, by the way. And I still got 21%. So this is what I'm talking about here is I make more money off of this 21.5% that converts than I do off of the 44.4%. But see, most gurus, quote unquote, out there will sit there and tell you, oh yeah, this is how you measure success. Look at this. This campaign here is way better than this campaign here. No way. No way. I will spend money all day long on this campaign over this campaign because I'm earning double, triple, quadruple on this campaign versus this campaign. Too many people just look at percentages and the numbers, not really digging into beneath the surface and saying, okay, but what did I really get out of it? What were my expectations for my lead quality? Did I make them prove themselves? And that's what I've done here with this 21.5%. So on the surface, it looks like, man, you're slipping, bro. No, not at all. I was asking for much bigger commitments, right? So wouldn't you guys agree that you would rather have 21% of the people reach out to you and take the next step if you were asking them to actually schedule phone appointments with you or something that proves that they're interested versus getting a 44% conversion on somebody that just clicks and goes to a landing page and maybe answers one question, right? It's a big difference, isn't it? It's all about mindset. So we have to raise our expectations for our leads and be fearless about it, meaning that you can't shrink back and say, well, I might scare some people away, because if we're too jumpy, you're not going to survive into this is a cutthroat world of mortgages these days, because everything operates in hyper cycles. When you find something that works, you got to go and run with it, guys. You can't sit there and wait around, because your competition can easily clone and copy you if you just sit around still in today's marketplace, because technology is moving forward at such a rapid pace. Okay, so now let's talk about another platform. So now we're going to talk about Google. Yay! How many of you guys like Google? How many of you guys like Google? How many of you guys like the idea of running ads on Google, but you're scared by the price points that you're often seeing out there when we talk about things like AdWords? Okay, getting a lot of yeses on that. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's a lot of individuals like the idea of it, but it's the pricing that scares them away. But what if? Let's go back to our land of make believe again. What if we were able to dial back that price point by tapping into and having such a high conversion rate and tapping into the right searches that the price point becomes a fraction of what it was previously? Or what if we tap into some of the different tools that Google makes available? Because when we talk about Google AdWords anymore, we can no longer just say Google AdWords, because what falls within that is an umbrella of different tools that Google gives you access to. Some of those tools are very expensive. Some of those tools are very cheap. And when I say cheap, I mean almost as cheap as Facebook ads cheap. Huh? Right? Most people aren't telling you that, because most people don't have very, very little experience utilizing Google Ads. And that's why I tapped into the power of James. So James, again, unfortunately, not able to chat with him at the moment. James' expertise is running ads on Google, hyper targeted ads. So we actually teamed up. We teamed up on a joint project a couple of years back, because we said, hey, what if we marry the best of both worlds? I got the formula down to a science on Facebook. You got the formula dialed in and buttoned up tight on Google. Let's marry the two to see what comes out the other end. So instead of just pumping all of our traffic into Google, or just dumping all our traffic into Facebook, let's split it 50-50 and bump our traffic into both. So that way we have a blend of sources. So we're getting people at different stages of the home buying search game. We're getting a nice combination of low cost over here. We got higher cost over here, but we got higher quality because the buyer intent's there. Over here on the Facebook side, we got more volume, but we got people that we can put into our funnel that are, maybe just 30 to 60 days down the road. When we blended the two, it's dynamite, guys. It's awesome because what Google gives you is in-market data. We tap into that in-market data. In-market data just simply means that Google now tracks every freaking thing you do to the point where they actually know when somebody's actually shopping for a mortgage. And when I say they know you're shopping for a mortgage, I'm not saying they're just looking at whether or not you typed out home loans online. They're tracking actual data, actual in-market data that you have taken steps that show you are actively looking for a loan, not just at the research stage, not just, hey, I checked out some interest rates on this side. No, there's a lot more to it than that. So it's very specific data. And that's what Google gives us access to when we run those ads. That's why the conversion rates are so stinking high, because these people are actively in the market. So you have hyper-specific targeting combined with numerous sources outside of just search traffic. And what I mean by that is when you when you deploy an ad on Google, you have an option to either A, run an ad using the search network, B, you can run ads on YouTube, which how many loan officers are actually even using YouTube? The traffic is so stinking cheap. Very little competition. And yet you got people going there researching, because people now research using videos instead of just going onto Google and reading an article. Now we just go into YouTube and type out, how do I get a home loan and pay only 10% down? How do I get a home loan if my credit's around a 690? How do I buy a home in the St. Louis area? Can I qualify for an FHA home loan? What's PMI? What's MIP? What's my closing cost company? These are things people are searching for, and yet we're not even running ads to get in front of them. Terrible, isn't it? It's cheap traffic because everybody's so afraid of video ads. Nobody wants to be in front of the video. Nobody wants to put the time into making a video. Guess what? That's the kind of things you want to be doing, because just like I mentioned earlier, the crappy thing about most ad platforms is it's so easy for your competition to copy you these days. All they got to do is look at your ad, take a snapshot of it, click on the link, go, oh, his landing page says this, he's got these pictures on it. I'm going to hire this person over here for $150 to make a copy of it. Boom, guess what? I'm you now. But when there's a barrier to entry, and somebody said, man, you know what? That video is awesome. I don't have the skills to make a video like that. Half the people are camera shy, don't want to be in front of the camera, or they don't know how to actually shoot a good video, or they think they need to drop $1,500 or $2,500 to get a videographer out to shoot a good quality video. When in reality, I've run ads that I spent less than $5 on that generated actual applications. And all I used was a freaking smartphone, a $5 mini tabletop tripod, and a little lapel mic that I bought for $29.99 on Amazon. Created a video. It only cost me $5 because my clicks were only costing me about 35 cents. And yet most people are unwilling to copy that because there's a fear factor involved. Then you got the ads network outside of just search. So now you got all the third-party websites you can run ads on that are mortgage related. I mean, guys, there's so many tools inside of Google that you could tap into. It's the single largest volume of traffic available anywhere on earth. And it's easy to scale. So do you see the value now? This is what we call blending our ads. So James, boom, you focus on Google over here. I'm going to focus on Facebook over here. And we're going to dial in both networks, both platforms. And now we have multiple lead sources. We're tapping into two of the biggest places that people spend their time online, right? The average American spends how much time on Facebook every week? And even those who don't spend time on Facebook, they're still using the Facebook chat app, the Messenger app, because that's where all their friends are. So we can still run ads on Facebook and get in front of the people who aren't actually on Facebook. They just have old profiles. They don't really use it much, but they're still using Messenger to keep up to date with their friends. So this is why blending is so important, guys, is you want the intent from Google for the now business. You want the lower cost leads from Facebook for your database retargeting and to supplement your volume. And so that way you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. And when you blend, you insulate yourself from disaster. In other words, if something were to happen and one of these platforms stopped offering ads, like I remember a lot of entrepreneurs were running very, very specific ads on Google, and the same thing happened on Facebook as well. What was it? Network marketers in MLM. I saw a lot of the trainers in that industry were just yelling from the mountaintops about, hey, everybody who's a network marketer should be running ads on Google because, you know, it's only costing you like a dime a click and blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? Eventually Google banned network marketing ads. Facebook eventually ended up doing the same thing. MLM. What happened to all those guys that were relying on that as their traffic source? They've banned over a dozen industries and ad types. So what would you do if you were relying on just one traffic source and that were to happen? But when you blend, you have the perfect balance of quality, quantity, and conversion, aka ROI. Important, isn't it? Let's take a look at an ideal funnel. So I was talking to you guys about funnels. So, and I see some questions coming over, and I promise, guys, I'm not ignoring you. I will get to the questions, but I do got a lot of material here to cover because we're getting to the meat and potatoes of this here now. So, but I will circle back and get to the questions. Okay, I promise. As many of them as I can, anyways, because there's a lot of them. So follow up equals closed loans. This is what I like my funnel to look like, guys. And the reason why. The reason why is because, as we mentioned earlier, you need that, here's the Chad edit, 7 to 12 follow-ups before the average consumer is properly even engaged, before they recognize you in today's marketplace. So let's start here on the top left. When a lead enters your funnel, what's the first thing that's going to happen? Well, 9 times out of 10, it's going to trigger a email autoresponder. So your CRM or whatever it is you're using for your email follow-up is going to trigger this, and boom, a message is going to go out within about 2 or 3 seconds. Okay, so boom, an instant message. Hey, thank you so much for filling out the quiz, blah, 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 you know, all that fun stuff. That's great. That's wonderful. Okay, but a lot of individuals, oops, sorry about that, guys. A lot of individuals do not engage at that level, do they? There we go. So if they're not engaging at that level, then we need something else to happen. So that's when we trigger something to happen with the phone. And when I say phone, at this stage, we can either trigger a voice drop, which can be automated. So a lot of you guys know voice drops as like slide dial or something like that, where you can actually bypass their phone ringing and leave a message that goes straight into their voicemail, right? So that's one way to do it. But another way to do it is to have a dedicated caller, a telemarketer, have somebody that can make those calls when you can't. Have somebody that doesn't mind smiling and dialing the same number 13 times over the week, 14, 15 times over the week. Because if you don't reach them, you don't have a lead. So many people say, I can't have them called that much, but they're going to see my, caller ID number. They're going to think here's the thing. If you don't connect with them, what do you have? What are you protecting? A lot of individuals are too timid with their follow-up. Because they're afraid, well, I might, put them off and they might not call me back. Well, guess what? 98% of those people aren't calling you back anyways. Just look at what's happening now with most individuals' follow-up. If this can give you double, triple, or quadruple the number of connects because this person's tenacious on the phone because they have the time to do it when you don't, you're busy, it's a positive ROI. So we got a text message going out to them. So we got email, we got phone, we got text message, we got either a voice drop or a telemarketer. But then on the opposite side of the spectrum, like I said, I have a 3-step lead capture process. So that final hoop that I make them jump through is I'm asking for permission. Please give me permission to send you your response, your reply through Facebook Messenger. And about 50 to 60% of them so far in my experience say yes to that. So once they say yes to that, boom, now they go into an automation here where they're going to be nurtured by getting 4 messages per month, 4 follow-ups per month. See, I don't want to harass anybody. I'm not going to send them. And when I say harass, I mean, I'm on some people's list where like I just did a search for this one person. I was like, man, this person just keeps showing up in my inbox with ads every single day. And I checked 39 messages last month, and that was just through email. That didn't count the 9 they sent on Facebook as well. So in total, that's what, 48 messages in 1 month? That's overkill, guys. That's what I call harassment. So I unsubscribed. But what do you think about 4 messages a month? That's just 1 a week. That's enough. That's frequently enough to where you can be in the right place at the right mind and buy some brain cells and be top of mind, but not be so much where the person's like, oh my God, every time I log in, I see this person's name. Unsubscribe. Have you guys noticed? I don't do that to you, do I? I find it obnoxious, so I refuse. And so many people say, well, you get more closings that way. There is a balance between being tenacious and being obnoxious. Okay, so I like to be tenacious. Okay, I want to be top of mind, but I don't want to do it at the expense of credibility to where I'm just obnoxious. Okay, so there is a balance there. Okay, so we have the combination of your traditional methods plus the newer methods, such as either bolting on a voice drop or text messaging or a telemarketer. Combine that with the newest service. So I just started doing this in 2017. This is a relatively new service by Facebook, 4 times a month. So this cycle renews if you reach a point of unresponsiveness. What do you do when you look at your database and say, well, I got this many applications and this many closed loans from it? That's awesome, but there's still 80% of my database here who's not responding. Well, guess what? The lead can only go quiet if you allow it. And what I mean by that is we just recycle it. We start the cycle over again. So we'll either connect with them and close, or at some point they'll just ask to be removed from your list. Okay, so we're not going to be obnoxious, but we will restart it by maybe if I see, okay, this person hasn't opened any of my emails or responded to anything in 60 to 90 days. Well, at that point, I'm going to tell my telemarketer, hey, you know what? Can you place a phone call to the people that have not responded within the last 60 to 90 days? And we're just going to ask them one simple question. Are you still looking for a new home? It's a simple question. Are you still looking for a new home? Have you found a home? And if it's yes, then I know what to do with them after that. If it's a no, I'm sorry. Are you having trouble finding the right home, or you just is there something else that's kind of slowed down the process for you? So it's an exploratory session at that point. So I'll either send a telemarketer over to do that. I might send a messenger message. I could send an email. I can send a text. How do I want to send the message? But once I know the status, because too many of us are marketing to people that we have no clue what's going on in their lives. We have no clue what's going on in their lives because we haven't bothered to ask. Right? I mean, it's asking. That's all it is. It's asking. You don't know until you ask. Well, some people say screw off. Sure. Do we care? Not a bit. We're salespeople. That's what we do for a living. We chose this career. So what do I send in those follow-ups? Let's using Facebook Messenger as an example. Well, first of all, let's talk about what not to send. Don't send overly commercial messages. We don't want to be annoying, obnoxious. People don't care if you send them fairly frequent messages if you're sprinkling in really good high quality content on top of that, stuff that they want to see. So don't oversend and don't send overly commercial messages. There's nothing wrong with sending some commercial messages, but if every single time they hear from you, it's just boom in your face, then we got a problem. Okay, so 4 blasts per month through Messenger is plenty. Here's some couple examples. So a short list of new homes, brand spanking new. If I know for a fact they're shopping for a home because I qualified them by asking those questions up front, I'm going to have my telemarketer or through my voice drop, I'm going to ask for permission. Hey, you know what? I have an opportunity to work with a lot of the top producing real estate agents in the market, and I oftentimes get access to these lists of homes very early in the process. So would you mind if maybe I send you from time to time when I see really particularly awesome deals that meet with the guidelines that you set forth that you're looking for? Would you mind if I just shoot over a list of those homes? Most of them are going to say, oh, yeah, send them on over. You know, I'm only going to limit it to homes that you really want to see. Okay, that gives me an excuse to send them over these lists. Maybe they'll buy one of them. The realtor is going to appreciate it. Now I can send progress reports to the agents that I want to get referrals from, saying, hey, look, I sent to 39 people this week, clicked on and went and took a look at these homes. You know, these are people who are actively shopping. And oh, by the way, when they filled out my first questionnaire, they said they don't have an agent yet. Shall we talk to them? What agent's going to say no to that? How about updates on what's going on in the market? Are rates going up? Rates going down? Are property values going up? Property values going down? What's going on in the marketplace? Okay. Or we have what I like to call what is your one question message? Half of you folks on this call have probably already gotten one of these from me. And that is, hey guys, if you had one big question that you could have answered right here, right now, about marketing yourself as a loan officer, what would that question be? So now we just reword it for these folks. Hey guys, if you have one pressing question that you could get a 100% honest and accurate answer right now about the home buying process or about the mortgage process, what would that one question be? I send these out even in email format. These get killer response. They get almost double to triple the clicks as my regular emails. People like answering these questions, guys. It's weird. People like answering questions. You know why? Because if you really do have something that's nagging at you, when you see an opportunity to get a freaking answer, you're going to take it. So I send them over to a page where there's only one field for them to put their big question and click submit. And you know what I do? I go through, I read their question, and I'm either going to call them or I'm going to text them or I'm going to email them back a response, depending on their preferred method of communication, which I ask for then too. How would you like me to get you your answer? See, you notice how basically what we're doing here is this type of marketing. I don't even call it marketing anymore. I just call it, let's stop making assumptions. Because I keep asking them questions. What do you prefer? How would you prefer I get in touch with you? What's your one big question? Okay, how do you want your answer? See, too many times our marketing consists of just a whole series of assumptions. And that's why we get crappy leads, is because we're assuming every step of the way. But when we change our marketing away from assuming to one of asking and listening, meaning giving them opportunity to give you feedback every step of the way and actually freaking asking for it, don't just wait for them to volunteer it, because they won't. Every once in a while, you'll get the outlier that does, but most people don't volunteer it, right? Because they don't know what you want to know. They don't know what questions you have for them. So we got to ask. So we give them that opportunity to answer that question. Okay, another example is live streams. How many of you guys taking advantage of live streams? Live streaming is awesome. It's killer for SEO as well, by the way. But it's awesome for engagement, or maybe a walkthrough of homes. We did a couple experiments where we had loan officers just doing walkthroughs of homes in the neighborhood and then video recording those walkthroughs and either live streaming them or sending them to their database. And people love those videos because it's almost like a third-party review instead of the typical realtor video, which is usually, just some boring piano music in the background and then static images, but they're just panning. But they send those out because they're easy to make, but because they're easy to make, they're low quality. Because by now everybody's seen a million of them. They don't really show you anything about the house. So what happens when somebody who's really genuinely interested in a home gets a video of, hey, I'm not the realtor, but I'm going to walk in here and I'm going to point out the stuff that I like. I'm going to point out the stuff that really jumps out at me as I walk through this house. I'm really going to show you this house and give you my feedback on it. And then you send that to your database, people who are house hunting that are house hunting either in that neighborhood or in that particular city. Yeah, people love it. Home buying webinars, first-time home buyer webinars, telesyn. I mean, there's so many things that you could be sending to these people, guys, in your follow-up. It's crazy. Quick tips, links to videos, articles, blog posts. So what do you guys think so far? What do you think of that process? Do you see how that process can make a difference in the quality of your leads? Can you guys see that? Does that seem to you like something that would make people look forward to hearing from you? Yes or no? Does that seem like something that if you were shopping, if you were in the home buying process, that this would really jump out at you? Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Because you're doing something different. But what do you think the weak link is? What do you think the challenge is in all this stuff? Because it sounds good on the surface for, at least that's what I'm getting the feedback from you guys. What do you think the weak link is? What's the problem? What's the challenge when we talk about this type of a process? There we go. Yeah, finding the time to set it all up. Yeah, building it. Building it, yeah, because it is a process, isn't it? It's not something that just happens overnight. Yeah, that's indeed the weak link, is that it all falls on your shoulders, and you're a busy person. It's not like you're just sitting around twiddling your thumbs hoping business is going to magically fall in your lap. You're out doing a million different things. I mean, heck, I was shocked at just how many of you guys are already running Facebook ads. I didn't expect that many of you, but a big chunk of you guys are already running Facebook ads. So, but you're doing a lot of these things that aren't getting you the results that you want, but you don't want to stop doing it because at least you're getting something from it. Am I right? That's really the big challenge as well. Even though I'm not happy with what I'm doing now, I'm at least getting some closings from it. So I don't want to stop it to try something untested and something new, because what if? There's always that big what if it doesn't work. And that's freaking scary. Am I right? You guys wonder why I use the video game analogy and he was in a dungeon? Yeah, because it can be scary navigating all of this, because you're screwing around with your livelihood, with your income. You rely on this to pay your bills. So just stopping something just because you're not 100% happy with it sometimes seems, well, am I doing the right thing to try something untested? So all this is falling on your shoulders. And you don't have the time. We've already talked about needing to follow up 7 to 12 times. Do you have the time and the necessary tools to automate the process of following up a minimum of 12 times on the phone when your leads come in? No, we don't. I can say that 100%. And on average, the answer to that is a heck no, because I've seen all your guys' surveys and I've seen how many times most loan officers follow up. It's usually after 3 attempts, they give up. Some will give up after 5, but the bulk are giving up between that 3 and 5. Do you have any desire to do that? Again, the answer is typically no, especially if you have low converting leads and you get a couple hundred leads a month, and you multiply that by I need to call each of them 12 times. Are you kidding? You got to be joking. Do you have a flexible schedule to try all the different times a day? Because that's another challenge, is oftentimes you're busy during the time periods of day where you could actually reach these people, because everybody's got their own schedule. So you got to be staggering and trying during different times of the day. That's why I have telemarketers following up 12, 13, 14, 15 times a week. It's not because I want to bug the people. It's because they're trying all different times and all different days. And they're having a far higher success rate with those than if I were to pick up the phone and try to call them, because I don't have the time to do that, do I? Are you comfortable enough to keep dialing that many times? Are you set up to send instant and auto text messages? Do you have your Facebook bots in place for the Facebook Messenger ads that we just discussed a little bit here today, that has the superior open rates? Do you have a funnel set up to plug all these tools into to start getting the superior quality leads? Do you have the know-how to work with Google's monstrous dashboard that does a quadrillion different things? It looks like you're getting ready to launch a shuttle into orbit when you log into that dashboard. So a lot of people are intimidated by that. So these are the things that stop a lot of loan officers from taking action. So for those of you that like what you saw, that's why James and we've teamed up, him with Google, me with Facebook, to offer a complete done for you hands off. For those of you that just don't want to screw with it, this is quite literally 100% plug and play. This is the most plug and play I've ever offered, as in we build not just the landing pages, not just your initial ad campaigns, we build and run the whole freaking thing for you. And when I say the whole thing, I mean lead capture pages. I mean multi-step, the 3-step lead capture process to warm up the leads and get people scheduling appointments, all pages, all ad campaigns that are targeted to your areas and your niches, instant lead capture follow-up that's automated, as well as an option to have a live telemarketer follow up on all your leads for you. So a lead comes in, boom, within 5 minutes, our telemarketer's called on it for you. You no longer have to hover in front of your phone. An actual phone call, and that ups the professionalism by a factor of 10 when it's somebody calling on your behalf. Hey, I'm calling on behalf of such and such, such and such. Yes, you filled out one of our mini quizzes online, the questionnaire about purchasing a home, and here's why I'm calling. boom, 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 using a high conversion script where they're going to collect the data and separate the time wasters from the serious people, and actually either transfer, you have the option to transfer leads directly to you if they're ready to talk now, or schedule a phone appointment for you. Okay. So instant lead follow-up, that is the missing piece for so many people. It's nuts how many people benefit from that. You're going to tap into email, text messaging, the automated voice drops, as well as Facebook Messenger. So you don't have to screw around with even the Facebook bots. I know a lot of you guys have been hearing more and more about bots and how awesome they are for conversion. I'm using them. And let me tell you, they are incredible. Whether you love them or hate them, some people say, wow, I don't think my clients will respond to that. I'm here to tell you, no, I disagree. My firsthand experience on using them in campaign after campaign after campaign after campaign means I'm using them on almost every level of even my own business as well as my client's business. And you guys know I manage a lot of very, very, very big ad spends, huge ad spends for some big companies. And we even have bots on those too, because they work, because they're automated, they're instant answers. A lot of people who say they don't like bots are because what they've witnessed are people deploying them very poorly. There's a lot of people that are very crappy at using bots out there that are probably marketing to you, and if you've seen some, they're pretty crappy processes. But a well-executed bot campaign is not going to be crappy. It's not going to annoy you. Rather, it's going to be helpful, and it's going to capture information, very valuable information for you, the loan officer, by getting people answers to their questions instantly, because there's low barrier to entry there for people. They feel more comfortable asking questions that they might be a little nervous to ask a loan officer. I don't want to ask a dumb question. Oh, but I'll ask the question of a bot, and the bot knows the answers, right? Ongoing fine tuning and campaign tweaking. We also do, let me show you guys how this works. This is freaking awesome. We also do lead tracking through heat maps and video. Does anybody know what I mean when what I'm referencing when I say that we even track everything by video? We actually track the activity on your website by video. Anybody ever seen that in action? Let me show you. I'm just gonna pause my screen here for just a moment. I'm actually gonna show you guys an example of what I mean by tracking on video. This is just the coolest thing, just so freaking cool. Let me get logged in. I'm just gonna open up a fresh tab. You're actually able to see everything that people do when they get to your website. It actually records the full screen. Now, the value of that is you learn so much. And this is what we're doing for you and tracking this entire process, by the way. And we're actually looking at all these videos because you learn so much that raw numbers cannot show you when you actually see how people interact with your pages. So watch this. I'm going to go to, there we go, projects. And my popular pages. Okay, you guys are going to see it in just a moment. So the first thing I see when I get here is I see the pages that are most popular. Now I'm going to go to my user sessions. Instead of just seeing a heat map, I can actually come in here and I could take a look at this and say, oh, okay, watch this. And I pull up a video. And then I can click the play button. And I can watch everything that happens. Now this one was just a quick 1 second visit, so I don't really have anything to look at there, but let's find something that might be longer. Here we go. Here's a 14-second video, and then there's a 59-second video. So when we actually watch the way people engage, you find bottlenecks, you find areas that people aren't engaged on, you find where people click, you see where they move their cursor, you see what they're looking at, you see how far do they scroll down. This is what allows us to really fine-tune things, is because you don't really get this kind of data when you're just looking at raw numbers, do you? So I start to see, it's like, you know what, I've noticed when watching these videos, everybody stops scrolling right about here. That means that my call to action needs to be better. Or that means this, that means that. And this is what we do on all your pages. But you don't have to sit there and invest your time watching it. I mean, if you can if you want to. But we're taking care of that for you. That's what allows us to fine tune the process. Okay. So when we make this offer to you guys, basically, essentially what I'm telling you right now is that it's almost like we're your very own lead generation department. So you just basically offload it to our shoulders because this is what we do every day anyways. So I think we're pretty darn good at it. So we'll get leads. You will get leads instantly. Once they're turned on, once the leads are captured, they're instantly sent over to you. Your leads will be followed up with. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They will be followed up with. If any leads are unresponsive, they will automatically be dropped into a warm-up process. So we're constantly recycling those leads to keep getting you fresh leads. In other words, we're helping you get more with what you already get, right? So once we get the leads coming in, we're saying, okay, as your database is building, now let's see what we can do to get more with that existing database. So if anything goes unresponsive, your telemarketer is going to be following up with them. They're going to be getting emails and warm-up messages, all sorts of things. Okay, so we take care of that. You don't have to worry about developing and writing that whole process and planning it out and building the processes around it. Okay, there's the optional dedicated phone calls where each lead will be called between 15 and 20 times. Okay, we got dedicated calls to schedule appointments. And there's no messing around with the technology, guys. You don't need to be a tech guru. However, this is something that we are limiting. As you guys know, this is what I do because I don't like saturation and I want to keep our focus on the small group of individuals so that everybody's getting maximum value. So we're limiting this to just 25 done for you packages for phase one. No exceptions. I'm not going to slip in and say, oh, I'll just throw in an extra 3 or 4 guys here or there. Nope. You guys know if you've tried getting in on some of my programs before, after we shut the doors, you know we're pretty darn strict about that, right? We also don't like overlap. So if you inquire, because not all markets are available, if you inquire and a market's already taken, I say, you know what, this market's not big enough to support another individual, then we will have to decline. So that's why you need to go to this link right here on the screen. See that there down at the bottom? If you want to talk to us about participating, if you want a done for you, just completely hands off, you guys take care of all of this for me so I can just sit back and work the leads, then you got to go fill this out. It's mortgagemarketingcoaching.com/more leads. Let me put a clickable link here in the chat box. Okay, so I'm putting a clickable link. It'll be appearing here in just a moment. Okay, so if you want a direct clickable link, I just put it in the chat box for you in your go to webinar chat box. Now let's talk a little bit about this, and then I'll circle around and get to the questions because I know there's a lot of them now. Holy crap! So yeah, basically, if you go to, let me show you the page that you'll go to here, because here's how the process works: is when you go to that link, guys, here's what happens. I'm going to open up that particular page. Go into the More Leads page. It's opening up right now. Okay, so you're going to fill this out. Then you're going to tell me, are you mostly interested in a do it yourself program or a done for me? Because primarily what we've talked about here today is the complete hands-off done for you, just because that's what I've been getting hammered with more than anything else lately, is just loan officers are just too freaking busy. I want you to do it for me. Okay, great. We do have limited done DIY trainings, but those are extremely limited, guys, in the form of like masterminds. But the primary package that we're talking about today is the done for you, hands off. Okay, because I know most loan officers have kind of come to that conclusion. It's like, yeah, I'm too busy to do this myself. Because there's so many pieces of the puzzle that need to be built out. But here's what happens is when you answer this, you're then going to be redirected. So make sure that this gets to the thank you, and then it's going to redirect you. So make sure you do the full submission, because if all I get is your name and your email, that doesn't help me out. Okay, I need you to come to this page here And we do a 20-minute strategy session, free strategy sessions. You're going to pick a time block, okay? And then you're just going to answer a couple quick questions, and you're going to send this on over to me, okay? So yeah, you're just going to answer these simple questions, because basically I want to make sure we're a good fit. Now, do you know just how effective this is, by the way? I just want to pause right here, because you guys see what's happening here, right? You're seeing the process at work. I practice what I preach because it works. I don't just talk to every single person on the planet. I don't have time to talk to 60, 70, 80, 90 loan officers. That's usually back in the past before we started putting these processes up front. That's about how many requests I would get for appointments. And it was very difficult to navigate and read all these emails and then decide who's going to get an opportunity to chat, and who's better luck next time. Unfortunately, it was just basically first come, first served. And that was just a horribly inefficient way to do things. Nowadays, I filter out by seeing, hey, who's actually really wants to work with me? Who really wants these problems solved? Who really has that burning desire to solve this lead problem, the lead quality problem, once and for all, and get to the next level? Arm yourself with the necessary tools to level up in the game, so to speak. Because this is a game you don't get second chances at, right? You either reach your goals and live the lifestyle that you want, or you go out with regrets, right? We don't get that second chance like a video game, unfortunately. So who really gets that and says, hey, let's take this to the next level? Or at least let's spend the time to inquire and find out if it's a good fit. Because I'm not a good fit for everybody. James and I, we have this really powerful duo set up now, and we would love to drive traffic for you and warm up the leads and get you all these appointments. But we need to make sure it's a good fit. Now, there's a couple things you can ask yourself to decide up front before you fill this out. If there's any doubts or uncertainty. And if you guys have any doubts or uncertainties, just go ahead and let me know in the chat box right now. Okay? So you can go ahead and start putting those doubts or uncertainties in there. But here's a couple things that I want you to consider. First of all, because of the fact that Google's involved, you're right, it's not cheap. Okay, I just want to be blunt with you, because there's no messing around here, guys. It's not cheap because of the fact Google's there. Now, it's probably not as expensive as a lot of people are thinking, but you do need to have at least, if you don't have a minimum of $1,000 a month to dedicate to your marketing, this is not for you. Okay? Or at least something that you could tap into. But let me tell you, it might seem like a lot of money for traffic, but the quality's worth it. How many times have folks dumped $1,500, $2,000 a month in buying leads, and only to say, wow, I had to call 90 people to get a single person that really even wanted to talk to me? How much time was just poured down the drain? Because this isn't just an investment in your leads, it's an investment in your time as well. Because of the fact that you no longer have to sit down and learn all this stuff that takes a long time to learn. I mean, I've been doing this quote unquote stuff since 2005. That's how I became an expert, is I have countless thousands and thousands of hours just in learning, not including the actual doing. And no joke, millions of dollars in ad spend to draw upon, millions. That's what it took for me to get to be an expert. And James, if James were here, I know, because I asked him, I know how much he has spent on Google ads as well. Heck, the bulk of my Google business I send over to James to handle, because that's his expertise. That's why we teamed up on this and said, hey, you take care of the Google side of the traffic, I'll take care of the Facebook side of the traffic. And we're going to bolt on all these processes on the back end to make sure that these loan officers don't have to screw with anything. They're just getting these appointments. They're getting these leads. How long did it take James to become an expert? How much money and traffic has he spent on Google? A hell of a lot. See, that's what we've done here, guys, is we've set up a process to just bulldoze through the barriers and say, screw it, let's just run with it and generate a lot of business for you. So, A, you got to have the bankroll, okay? Now, if you don't, for those of you that don't have a minimum, now, and I'm saying minimum, at bare minimum, guys, I would strongly prefer that you have more because of the fact that we're throwing Google in there, for your monthly ad spend. Okay, I would strongly recommend that you have more. That the 1,000 is the minimum to even be considered. Okay, but even then, I might still recommend that you look at a different program at that point because with Google, we need volume. We want to tap into the volume of the two, and that's where you start to hit with lower ad spends. It's actually harder to be successful with lower ad spends, and it's actually exponentially easier to be successful with larger ad spends. A lot of people think that to see if a campaign would be successful or not, they say, well, I'm just going to spend $200 a month, and if I can turn a positive ROI and get one closing off of $200 a month, then I know that if I scale it up and spend double, triple, or quadruple, then I'm going to make X amount of dollars. That's not how it works. The smaller your ad spend, the more difficult it is for the law of averages to tip into your favors. That's like taking a quarter and saying, I'm going to flip it twice. And if it's head both times, then I know I got 100% flip ratio. No, you got to flip that quarter a couple hundred times actually to get reliable numbers as to what the ratio of heads versus tails is from a mathematical standpoint. And the same applies with ad spends and marketing. Is the larger your numbers, the easier it is to actually get successful conversions because you're tapping into the law of averages. So that's why I recommend the larger spend. Is we want you guys to just hit a home run here. Okay. All right. But for those of you that if you don't have the minimum, then you still may want to go fill out the / more leads, but you may want to look at some different programs. Okay, so it's not as if this is the only thing that I have to offer loan officers, obviously, but this is what I'm focusing on here today. All right, but if you still like what you see, but maybe from a slightly different perspective, it's still okay to fill something out, but just let me know. Let me know so that I'm not contacting you back saying, all prepped and revved up to talk about this, going, oh, you're looking for something different. Okay, just let me know and when you're filling out the lead form. All right. Again, not all markets are available, so you do need to inquire. So let me know as well what area you're looking to do loans in. Okay. And you're either going to speak with myself or James with a strategy session, and make sure that you have answers to the questions in advance. And here's what I mean. If you guys really want to be serious about this and chat with us, I need to know what your specialty is. A lot of loan officers I talk to and I follow up with, and I say, well, what's your niche? And I close loans for everybody. And that's just not an answer, guys. That is too vague. That from a marketing standpoint, that's like you just stabbed me in the knee with an arrow, right? It just doesn't work because it's just not true. No matter how much we may think that's true, what that tells us is that you're just desperate just to close any and everything. And I understand that mindset, yes, but from a marketing standpoint, it doesn't work. That's what I need you to understand, okay? So please get specific and tell me what your specialty is, what area you want to go after. Even if you do loans in a whole bunch of different areas, is there some place specific that you want to target? Because with the way that we do this, guys, we can get very, very specific, but at the same time, we need to know if some people are looking for things that are too specific to where we say, you know what, that's going to be much more difficult to get that set up, within our 2-week time frame. So we may have to do things a little bit different because it does take us. This is not a quick process. It takes us a minimum. Now, please hear me, guys. I'm not saying we guarantee we're going to deliver your funnel in 2 weeks because I'm not saying that. And I want that to be on record, on video, where I'm saying it's not 2 weeks, boom, here you go. It's 2 weeks minimum to get set up. Depending on your market, we research your market first because I'm not here to just take on everybody as a client. I'm making sure that this is a good fit and that we are 100% confident that we can hit a home run for you in your market. So I'm going to research your market first. Some markets might take 3 or 4 weeks to set up. Because keep in mind, we're bolting on bots and Facebook Messenger automation. We're bolting on an email autoresponder. We're bolting on a follow-up text messaging platform. We're bolting on either a telemarketer or a voice drop system, depending on the options you select. We're bolting on landing pages, thank you pages, appointment scheduling pages. Guys, there's so many pieces of the puzzle that we're just hammering out for you. we want to deliver quality, not just rush and say, oh crap, we got a 2-week deadline, get it to you or else. And now we take shortcuts or that are going to have a negative impact. No, we want to get you something that you walk away going, holy crap, I wish I'd started doing this way earlier. Right? Okay. So there's the link again, mortgagemarketingcoaching.com/more leads, as in that's what I'm going to get you. James and we're going to get you more leads. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So Chris says, I'm not sure when this was sent. So you just explained what had happened to me, Chad. So I'm assuming that was from earlier in the call, Chris. So yes. So hopefully we hit some nails on the head for you there. Good. Okay, I'm just scrolling through all the questions. So ad spend. So yeah, I'm seeing a lot of questions on the ad spends. Hopefully you guys all heard the answer that I recommend. Because we're tapping into 2 platforms for you, not one. I recommend a minimum of $1,000 monthly ad spend. That's what needs to be available to spend on the ads. If you're not able to do that, then let me know in the chat box and we'll see if there's some other options for you. But it will not be the Google/Facebook option. So I'm just letting you know that right now. Okay. Let's see questions. So yeah, lots of wrong numbers. Yep. Hey, Jason. Yeah, if so, Jason says I filled out. But it's saying the slot scheduled isn't available. It could be sometimes when we schedule these, when we do these calls, I will get, no joke, 30, 40, 50 people all at once filling that out. So that could be, sometimes it overwhelms the calendar. So here's what to do, guys. If you're unable to get an appointment locked in, here's what I want you to do. Let me switch my screen here right quick. Give me just a moment. I'm going to go back to the Mortgage Marketing Coaching More Leads page. Here's a secondary thing that you can do. Because I know these calendars and I have limited available slots. If you're not able to get in one of them, here's a number that you can text me at right here. 314-312-2296. But please give me details, guys. Tell me, if you just text me a message and just say, hey, hi, Chad, which that happens to me a lot. And I have no freaking clue what that means. I need to know what it's about, and give me even just a little bit of details. I know texting sucks trying to write out details, so you can keep it short and brief, but just at least tell me a little bit. So I'm going to put that number in the chat box as well. 314-312-2296 if you're unable to use the calendar app because either all the slots are taken or it's telling you it's unavailable because people are snagging them who've clicked submit maybe a couple seconds right before you did. Maybe they filled them out quicker. So that's probably what's happening. Okay, so there's the number. Now I just give you guys that because I know I've had some disappointed people in the past that just weren't able to be considered just because they didn't get in on time because there were too many people on the system. Okay, all right, so I'm scrolling through the questions still. Give me just a moment, guys. All right. Okay. Getting leads. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so JC, it's been easier to get people with crap credit. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so looking to expand that. All right, what's the time for? Okay, I'm getting a lot of questions also about volume. So the volume, it's all going to depend, and that's kind of the purpose of the strategy session, is because I want to give you guys realistic expectations. Different markets are going to generate different volume. It's just as simple as that. And I know that sounds like such a crap answer, but there's just so many variables that have to be considered before I can begin quoting you volume. Because if you're in I get a lot of guys saying, well, I'm in the middle of this Midwestern town, and it's a small town, and the houses are separated by a mile apart, and there's only about 20, 30,000 people. Obviously, we're looking at very, very different expectations of volume from some place like that versus, oh, I'm in San Diego. And you have everything in between, plus different niches. If you're going after reverse versus this person wants refi cash out, this person here wants to go after VA, all of them are going to have severe impacts on what's available. So we need to discuss those things, and I need to research your area, your niche, before I can give you that answer. Now, what I can tell you is I'm generally not going to work with you if I don't feel that I can get you at least 20 to 25 very high quality leads every month. I'll tell you right up front and say, you know what, it's not a good fit, because of this, and that. But let me tell you, that might not sound like a whole lot of leads, but when you have leads of people that really, really want to talk to you, that's enough to keep you busy. Some markets we can get double that. Some markets we can get triple, quadruple. Some markets we'd be lucky to get half that. That's why I don't quote volume, and why we don't work with it when we turn down a lot of individuals, because we're going to research and we're going to let you know. Because I would rather point you in the right direction of what you can do rather than have your expectations dashed and you just spent money with us and now you're thinking, well, I didn't get the leads that I needed. We have no interest in that. That's why we research every market first to make sure we check competition level, we check the available traffic, we check the niche that you're going after, and we check the radius that you're wanting us to tap into. Okay, so we're very thorough. Okay, so I'm scrolling through here, and yep, still a lot of compliance. Okay, so I see questions about compliance. My compliance department requires all ads be approved before I can post it. Yeah, that's something that, if we're working together, then I understand that does happen a lot. And when that does happen, we're able to, get that over to the proper department. That's not a problem. I mark it to my current database. Okay, great, Chris. So congratulations, you're doing something that a lot of people don't do, by the way. Okay, so, and I see some questions now on, okay, so yeah, I just answered that one. Okay, let me check here. Yeah, there's no such thing as a bad question, guys. Feel free. Okay, and how long? Yeah, the appointments generally, we try to limit them to about 20 to 25 minutes for the strategy sessions. And I see a lot of questions about the cost. What's it cost? The program with you. That also depends on the market. So we're not trying to see. Here's the thing: is we're not trying to just pigeonhole everybody, because we know that just doesn't work. If I tell you, hey, it's going to cost X amount of dollars to work with me, and your market's, say, I don't know, Manhattan, New York, which requires much more work to get set up and to properly pull in leads from a market like that, hyper competitive, than it does if you tell me, hey, I'm in, Chicago, for example, or something like that, or Atlanta. Those are more mainstream markets that are easier to tap into. So we're not just going to paint everybody with the same brushstroke there. We are doing the research to make sure that we're giving you accurate reflections of what this will entail. Okay. Okay, Chad, does this work if I work for one of the big banks? Yeah, that one's tough for me to answer, just because that would really depend on your bank. Do we do business with big banks? Yes, absolutely. But I know that there's a lot of different rules at different big banks, from bank to bank. So if your bank gives you some creative leeway with your marketing, just so long as everything goes through compliance, then absolutely, yeah. If they are just going to lock you in and say, nope, absolutely not, no, no third-party advertising, then we're definitely not going to have a good fit there. So. Okay, so if you can spend the budget but not indefinitely, would it still be considered? Yeah, that's so. Let me just clear up what I was saying about the ad spend. Yeah, I'm not trying to paint the picture that, oh, you got to be, Mr. Deep Pockets, on an ongoing basis to work with us. I mean, if you're saying, hey, you know what, I can afford the spend, for X amount of months, and then I'm relying on, the closings in the business I get from this to then leverage, to continue paying. I mean, that's understandable. But we'll oftentimes get people say, well, I only got, a couple $100 a month that I could spend on my advertising, but I still want to do it. For them, it's not a good fit. If you can't tap into a source, I mean, I've had guys even, say, oh, I'm just going to throw this on a credit card, or I'm just going to do this, or I'm just going to do it. Okay, that's fine. We'll work with you. But if you come to me and you say, well, this is my desperate last chance, this is my last $1,000, and if this gets spent and I don't get a close loans from this, then I'm out of the business. Then no, this is not a good fit for you. That I would be a horrible person to suggest otherwise. For somebody like that, I would make other recommendations, just because that person it's life support for them. And I understand that, because I know what it's like to be in that situation. If this is life support for you, basically meaning that I'm down to my last few bucks, and if I spend this and I don't get a closed loan right away, I'm screwed. No, you're never going to be in the right frame of mind and work everything properly when you're that terrified, because nothing's worse than being in life support mode. I know what that's like to be in. Okay, I know it's terrible. There are lower cost ways for you to leverage that smaller amount to spend, that I would strongly recommend that you get to a certain level before you upgrade to doing something like this. It's not, and that's not me saying, hey, I don't have confidence that you're going to get a closed loan, right away out of this. That's not what I'm saying. We've done this many, many times and had amazing, amazing, amazing results again and again and again. But on the off chance that you take longer to get that closing, you're going to have put yourself to the point where you spent your last few bucks. Not a good situation. Okay. So I'm just trying to be balanced here and be as upfront and transparent with you guys as possible, because I don't want to take money from people who can't afford it, just in the name of taking money. That's not the way I do business. I want you guys happy and excited and yelling from the laptops that, wow, or yelling from the rooftops that, wow, this was an amazing experience. I can't believe how awesome this is. Okay. So I want to get established for. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely fill one out, or give me a jingle. Okay. So I'm seeing, yeah, and guys, I do see some folks asking about refi as well. I'm seeing that as a recurring theme. Yes, we can do refi, but our focus really is purchase. Because like you guys said, refi has been drying up. It doesn't mean it's completely dried up, because you do still have the cash out folks. However, the 98% of our clientele for the past years is purchase. So I'm doing a lot more in purchase. James is doing a lot more in purchase. So I really recommend that. If you really just got to do that refi, okay, we'll talk, we'll chat, and I'll take a look at the market, and I'll give you my honest feedback if I feel like it's something that we could do for you. But just don't be too disappointed if I come back and say, yeah, there's not enough volume there to support, to where I feel comfortable that you're going to be putting your ad spend to good use. Now, I may be wrong, and I may look at your market and come back and say, wow, your market's actually pretty strong in cash out or debt consolidation. But we don't know until we look. So I am open-minded. All right. Okay. Right. Perfect. So anybody that's got some on the fence about it and just say, well, I need to get this question or two answered first, or did I miss anybody's question here? Because there's so many of them here. I see about 196 questions, and I know a lot of them are duplicates, but it's hard for me to, as I'm scrolling, differentiate between what I have and haven't answered. I'm going to start flagging some of them here. Let's see. Okay, awesome, awesome. Okay, do we need? Okay, so all right, so a couple of folks asking about their existing Facebook accounts. What if I already have some Facebook pages set up and whatnot? Can you use those? Yes, we can use those. Yes. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to recommend it or not recommend it. So we would have to take a look at it first, and then from there ascertain whether or not it's good to use your existing pages or set up all new ones. Okay. So I'm sure there'll be some instances where we say, yeah, we can use those pages, and others where we say, well, let's go ahead and set something up that's more specific to what we're doing now. Okay, absolutely. And I see a lot of questions about Google. How much am I going to be paying for my Google ads on a per click basis? Here's what I have to say about that, and I'm just going to try my best to channel James here as best I can. Because he's the expert on the Google side. But here's been my experience: is if you don't know what you're doing, those estimates, when you see those charts that show the average cost per click for a mortgage related keyword on Google is between 40, 50, and can even top 60, 70 bucks. Yeah, that's 60, $70 cost per click. That seems extreme, doesn't it? That's typically for folks that have just atrocious click-through rates because they really don't know what they're doing. It is a skill and an art rolled into one, guys. It's a science. You got to do it right because James knows what the hell he's doing. Our costs are a fraction of that. I've seen him get clicks down into the single digit. And yeah, that's for the expensive Google search. I've seen them get it down into like $5, $6 cost per click. Does that mean I'm telling you that's what all your clicks are going to be? No, I'm not. I've also seen it fluctuate and bounce from $6 to $10 all the way into $25 or $30 and then back down again. And then so it fluctuates. But the killer is that so many people focus on the wrong thing because they're scared, they're nervous, and they say, oh, but that's so much to pay for a click. But what if instead of looking at clicks, what if all you looked at was ROI? Would you pay $100 for a click if you knew that deal was going to close? I had one guy who was freaking out about it until he got himself almost a $3.5 million closing. That's what made him a believer, where he said, holy crap, I've never done even something a quarter this amount before. But yeah, he got himself a $3.5 million deal. And up until then, he had been really, really focusing on and just micromanaging his cost per click. It's got to be this, it's got to be that. When he got that big closing, he finally just bonked it into his head and changed his thinking that it really is all about ROI. Because I said, you probably would have paid $1,000 for that click, wouldn't you? So now what happens if all we focus on is your ROI and stop focusing on clicks so much and focus on, hey, I'm getting quality deals, quality leads, people that really want to talk to me. So long as you're following up, and which point we're going to make sure that you are, because we're going to do it for you. So you're only going to be following up with people that want to talk to you. We're removing that big question mark. And I kid you not, and I wish James was here to back me up on this because I would ask him to tell the story. How many times have we had people spend thousands of dollars a month with us only to come back and say, well, I know you got 70 leads for me last week, and I'm hoping to follow up with them maybe on Friday or Saturday. And our jaws would drop to the floor. I mean, people would wait a week or two sometimes. These are people who spent thousands of dollars on a regular basis with us, and yet they're letting the leads float out there for a week or two before they follow up. I understand getting busy, but there's got to be a safeguard in place to stop that from happening when you have fires to put out. Because I understand it doesn't mean you're a bad loan officer. It means you have a genuine emergency sometimes. You have closings sometimes that have fires to put out, and you just can't set aside the time to follow up with leads when you got now business to take care of. I get that. But that's why we need automated systems in place that take care of these leads so that you feel comfortable spending the money that you need to be spending on your marketing, because you know, and don't have to freak out and say, man, I wonder how much money I just flushed down the toilet today because I didn't have time to follow up. Because these leads really do close at a much, much higher ratio when you're on the phone with them within 5 minutes. And that seems like such a short time span, especially when you're so busy. But that's why we give you the option for dedicated telemarketing staff. They'll take care of it for you. And these people are good on the phone, by the way. These are conversational. They know they can chat. They can, small talk. I mean, these are great. These people are good. I'm not just throwing you a bone here with some crappy person that's going to bore them to death and just read from a script. No, these are people that will engage and chat and talk you up. Okay. All right. Okay, guys. So fifth time is awesome, Jason. Fifth time was a charm. You got it. So I think I got most of the questions there. So guys, if I missed your question, please just feel free to text it on over to me, the 314-312-2296. I do want to talk to you. I'm not trying to be off-putting here by putting the restrictions, but I just feel that if you guys know going in up front what we're looking to work with, and I know what you're looking to work with and what your expectations are, and vice versa, then we have a better chance of a good match where you guys are going to walk away just going, man, that was awesome, right? You know, if I need to point you in a different direction, if you're not able to swing the big program, the done for you program right now, that's fine. That's fine. I'll still talk to you, but I'll be talking to you about a different program. Okay. All right. Well, I thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you found this illuminating. So I hope you liked the funnel I shared, the processes, and just opening your eyes to some of the different ways of looking at things. You know, the idea of actually trying to have higher expectations of your leads right out of the gate, because what we end up figuring out, and maybe it took me longer to figure this out than it should have, because I've been doing this for so long, but self-fulfilled prophecies is basically what we've become. If I go into this expecting to get crap leads, all my behaviors, all my resulting behaviors and how I set up my funnel and everything's going to be defensive. I'm going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy because all my work is going to be expecting crappy leads. So my actions are going to be set accordingly. But if I go into this saying, I am going to get good leads, I'm going to expect these people to want to talk to me. I'm going to expect these people to want to meet with me. I'm going to expect these people to be actually looking for a home loan this time. Your more confident actions and the way you structure your funnel is going to reflect that confidence. And you're going to get so much better results. Leads really do respond to you guys. The energy you're putting out over the phone, if you come at them sounding desperate and tiptoeing like you're walking on glass, they're going to pick up on that. And you know what? People make even subconscious judgment calls about working with somebody. I know for me, when I'm talking about, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 investment for a house, I don't want to talk to somebody that's, I don't want to give that investment to somebody that sounds like they're uncertain. I want to talk to somebody that just reeks of confidence. It's like, yeah, this guy's used to getting people to say yes. This loan officer knows what he or she's talking about. They must be good. And the fact that we have somebody intercepting the leads for you right away to make you look even better, because hey, you got somebody dedicated. You're so busy. You got somebody making the calls for you. That's what I like to hear. So I really thank you guys for joining me today. I hope I get to chat with you. It's mortgagemarketingcoaching.com/more leads. James and I are looking forward to hitting some home runs for you guys, some grand slams, and just getting all of this knocked out for you. Okay, once and for all. Let's just get your funnel set up. Let's get you put in a much better place. Let's talk. All right. Thanks again for joining me, guys. I'll chat with you next time. Make it a great day. Bye now.